Welcome to MoxieBox Teacher Training. We really hope that your last month's lesson was successful and the kids enjoyed it and you enjoyed it. This month you're going to love it because there's a lot that we're going to be integrating into this lesson. We're going to be using some curriculum and thematic teaching. We are also going to be creating an awesome family portrait, which then can be used as your holiday gift. At the very end, we even have another little tip and trick to share with you for the holidays. Now, what I do want to explain this time around is that this isn't going to be that long, hour or so training. These are going to be little tips and tricks. So they're going to be short little videos, not really a training, but maybe going through the manual and the supplies and giving you some ideas to make you and therefore your students successful. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at our little present right here. This Moxie box is full of everything that you need for this lesson. So inside, you're going to see what you saw the last time. And we had the, well, you can call it a teacher's manual, but really for your grade, what I like about it most of all is that it is also a way to use and integrate curriculum into this art project. So after your portrait, inside your fancy little box is something that I love that Miss Amanda sends with, and that is our table saver. We do sanitize enough as it is with good old COVID. So with these, you're saving your tabletop. Make sure you remind them, open it up 4s, and then spread it out, arms over it so that it flattens it out and does not affect your drawing. You also have something that I personally love, and this is head templates. And it's so clever because depending on how many people in your family will depend on what guide you would use. So if you have just 2 people in your family, you can go ahead and use the big red template. A couple of different ways the students can use this template. They could cut it out. They could then put it on top of the paper and trace it that way. They can just use their eyes or their tools around them to see how big and how tall it is. Here's your pencil. It's just about the size of a pencil. If you have a lot of people in your family, like my little Brooke, who has a lot of people in her family, 9 siblings, amazing family, she's going to go ahead and use the green one because the green one is so much smaller that you can fit that many people on the paper. So you probably are wondering, well, what is the paper and what size is the paper? It's big. It's really big. It's your construction size paper. This is the drawing paper that you're going to be using. So you can see it's covering the whole screen, right? So you can see that in this case, the 2 larger heads, it's going to work with plenty of room for something. Well, they figured out what that something is throughout this lesson too. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Okay, so on this rolling whiteboard, we're going to work in some math here. The first column, we have Jennifer and Alan. Jennifer has 7 students and Alan has 6. So the kids are going to add this up. They're 3rd through 5th graders, so they're going to add this up. But now we want to bring in multiplication because that's really what the kids are working on, right? No matter what grade they're in this year, they're working on that multiplication. So let's take a look at the 5. So all these students have 5. They're going to go ahead and count up how many students there are. They're going to multiply it, and they're going to multiply by 5 family members, so they're going to have 35 down here, right? We're going to keep going. Now we have 4, so there are 6 of them. So that's going to be 4 times 6 is 24, and so on and so forth. We're going to keep going with it. Then what you want them to do, and you can make this a contest, go ahead and add them all up. What is the final number? Let's say they get the final number, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, because I'm a 1st grade teacher. So let's say the number is 76. Now we're going to be working on the expanded form. So that's something they can work in next. Your number is going to be a lot bigger than 76, right? Because you have that many more students. So your numbers are going to be in the 100s. Well, go ahead and use that expanded form. That 100 plus 30 plus 6 equals 136. So add in all those math skills that they can practice so that they're getting ready also for this lesson because they want to think about their family, and this is just their immediate family. I'm going to go over the difference between the immediate and the extended family after the lesson because that can be your extension curriculum. Okay, Mr. Rolling Whiteboard, great job. And we're going to turn on the camera dock so that we can go ahead and see what else all the other goodies that are in this box. Okay, this was our paper. This is going to be our portrait paper. Remember that. We also have scratch paper. There's a great reason for this, and this is going to be the very step we do. It's how we're going to start. Then you have some handy dandy markers. These are awesome markers, and I love these markers because it provides two different services for the kids. One side, they're going to have a really thin tip, and then the other side is going to be a really thick tip. And Miss Amanda has the tip in the manual that talks about when you're using in larger areas. The bigger one is a really great one to use. Be sure you outline and then fill in with it. So we have those two tips. Make sure that you show the kids both sides of it so that they know to use it. And then one of the best things they threw in was the multicultural crayons. And I love that about this because they're not giving them a choice to make purple faces or orange faces, but actual skin color faces. Okay, lastly, we have ideas, little guides on what different types of hair they might want to draw in. Maybe they'll find one really close to their family that they can copy. And then they also have some mustaches. Okay, so let's go ahead and delve into this manual now. Okay, we have on the very first page, really important, especially for the olders. And what I really love is that you guys, all the children have their own manual, right? They have their own guide. So take out those highlighters that they have and use it like you do in the classroom, that you underline the important content, right? What is important about this paragraph? What is it that I find interesting? What am I connecting to? And let them highlight those areas. I would go through it as a whole class and let's read it together. You know what? The kids are reading it to you. Everybody's following along. The artist is a teacher and an artist. She's an art teacher, and her name is Nick Hahn. And so she's kind of a guest artist for us this month. And this is her lesson that we're using. And she talks a lot about family portraits and what they are and how they even started. They started, you know, with the black and white and different mediums that we don't use now. Ours is very much colorful. Look at the difference between our photos from way back when. Ask your parents to show you a photo of your grandparents or your great-grandparents and then a photo of them now. And you'll see such a difference. Color is more vibrant now. If we take a look at the next page, you're going to see exactly what's in your box. And then there's a pacing guide for you. That's always really helpful for the teachers to have a pacing guide. Know that it is flexible. You know your students better than we can know your students. You know how engaged they can be for the length of time they can be. And so you have all the flexibility in the world to make this work for your classroom and your schedule. Step one is very cool because it starts with the drawing a practice portrait. That's always nice to be able to do. Let's draw the practice portrait. So there's scratch paper in there. It's the same size really as your copy paper. And so they're going to take that paper out. They're going to go back to their heads. Remember, we discussed and now we know how many people we have in our immediate family that we're going to put down on this portrait. And so they're going to choose the size of their head. But what I'd like to do first is I'd like to go to a video that we have up on the MoxieBox website. And it's a very short video, but it teaches them a visual for those visual learners on what these two pages are all about. So take the 2 minutes with your class. Go ahead and show that video first. It's going to be really helpful when they go to apply all these little mini steps, the mini steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? Once that is over, have them do an I do, you do. So they're hands off. I know that's really hard for them, hands in their lap, but you model for them. Model one head portrait on your paper first. Then they can go have at it, right? So some tips that I have that I learned from teaching the littles, I did a little practice lesson with the littles. One tip that I've learned is this. When they're drawing their oval, and you want to remind them, we're going light, right? We're going light with the drawing, because we don't want to use our really hard, firm drawings, because then it can show through. So we're going light when we're doing the sketching, if you will. In fact, for the littles, I found two things helpful. One, I found using a mechanical pencil, because when they press too hard, what happens? It breaks, right? So they know they can't press too hard. I know the olders, 3rd through 5th, love mechanical pencils. So if they have them, I would really suggest that. So they're gonna draw their oval. And they always tell me that I'm such an artist, and I'm really not. And so what I found helpful is this. They did really well with vertical. So you assess your class as you're walking around and see how they do. So they draw the one line going down. And I'm just following this right here, but it's also the video that you saw. When I was working on them going across, that was a little more difficult for them. So I found by them turning the paper and doing another up and down, that really worked. That might work for your kids, or they may not have a problem at all, but give them some options so that they can be successful too. You're going to go to the next one, because every single thing that we do is going to represent a part of the face of the portrait. We've got our eyes, which are halfway down. We've got our nose line, and then we do another half to a half, and that's going to be the mouth. But you can see it's all laid out here, and it's really clearly done on that video as well. You could even be showing the video while they're doing it. You can keep looping the video for them. It's a long little practice, because look at what they're going to be doing. They're going to be doing now, adding in the eyes and the detail with the eyes. They're going to be adding the nose. I love how they teach this nose. Oh my goodness, if I see another half triangle nose, I'm going to lose my mind. So I love how they taught the nose, and then all the different options for the mouth, okay? So every single feature that they do for the practice is right here, and then they also put in those extras. Don't forget about your family. You know, some of your moms, they wear those necklaces, they wear the earrings. Hey, a lot have freckles. My son has a lot of freckles that I would need to teach him to add in. We've got glasses, of course, and then we're talking about the clothes and a hat. Who doesn't wear baseball caps now? Beanies, right? All that to bring out the character of the people in your family. Everybody's different. Families are different, and we want to embrace that, right? Okay. After this step, I know it was a long step. If they need 2 days for it, give them 2 days. Like I said, you know your kiddos better than anybody. You're going to go to step 2 next. And step 2 is that it's going to be the final one. It's going to be the one that we're going to be creating for that gift, and maybe even an extra special gift. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Step 2 is a repeat. So I love that. We know what we're doing because we just did it as a practice. So this is going to be really familiar for the kids, and it's going to go a lot quicker because of that. I do like the tips that they put in here, so make note of it. I always read through this prior to me starting. It only takes a couple of minutes to do that, but I highlight what I find really important. But what I loved about this tip was this. When they go to draw the neck and the shoulders of all the family members, start with the one in front first. Right? It makes sense, but I'm not an art teacher, so I wouldn't even know to tell them that. So it was a great little tip. But then I love the little detail that she added in here, the different type of hair, the mouth. And don't forget, go to what I call the cheat sheets, which is the samples that you have in the box. You'll notice that we started adding the animals for the older kids, right? This is a great option for the older kids. They may have a family pet that they want to include in their portrait. But remember, you're going to have something for those early finishers. You could have 9 family members. You could have 2. Those 2 are going to finish early, right? So leave this animal part for those that finish early. While the other kids are working on their portraits, the kids that are early finishers, go ahead and throw up the how to draw a dog video, the how to draw a parrot video, a rabbit video, whatever animals they have, the fish video. Go ahead and do that and have them practice that before they put it on their family portrait. So there are things for early finishers to do. Step 3 is where the color starts coming in. And again, a great thought they had in this box, in this manual. Think about your family. Does everybody really have the same skin color? The answer is probably going to be no. I think about one of my kids, Cole, who has blonde hair, very fair skin. And then I've got Cody, who has skin more like me, the olive color. So I would really be coloring all 4 of us different colors. So take a look and think about that. It even mentioned as a tip at the beginning, you know what? Bring in a picture of your family. Look at it. Have them examine their family and see the features. It's amazing how many kiddos don't know the color of their mom's eyes. You don't take in those details anymore. So bringing in a family photo might be a great tool. It's going to be something in their toolbox that they can use. But now it's the fun time, right? They get to go ahead and color in. They can add those freckles. They can add the eyes. They can color in the shirts. The last part is going to be the background. And here's the background. And the background could be anything they want. Let them be as creative as they want to be. That's what art's all about, right? Everything is right in art. And so whatever they do for their background, it is going to be beautiful, and it's going to work well for their family. And I know this is going to be special for their family. So before I show you some extended curriculum that we found that might work for your class, and give you a little tip on an app called Free Prints, I also want to remind you of Moxie University. Okay, let's bring in some good thinking and teaching when it comes to Moxie University. It'll always be at the last page. Be sure you're reading it with your class just like you did at the anticipatory set at the beginning when you're front loading the kids with what portraits are. Now end them. Have them connect what they did to something. And this here is your connection piece. Okay, so I told you that I had this site. It's an app and it's called Free Prints. And it's free, but that's pretty redundant, I suppose. It's free, but what isn't free is the shipping. But here's what I love about Free Prints. Free Prints, it's free to teachers. You can get up to 80 prints a month. However, if you don't use it that month, you don't lose it. And it actually accumulates. So at this time of the year, I have 320 prints that I have not used yet. So what I would do is I would be taking pictures of every single portrait that my students made. And then I would be uploading that to Free Prints, all on paying for shipping. Shipping has never cost me more than $10, and that was because I had a couple of hundred prints sent to me. It's typically $2.99 for your class, double your class set, be double the prints. And why I'm suggesting this, and I would suggest matte, because I've done the glossy before, but the matte would be, and that's a choice you have on Free Prints, that would be a better choice for this particular project. They can be postcards. It's easy to make it a postcard. You have an address in the back, a little note, and you've got a stamp, and it goes in the mail. You can also put it inside your holiday cards for the grandparents. It's really nice to have actual artwork from family members. It's really special. So I hope these tips and tricks were helpful. Let's go ahead and look real quick at what you could do to extend this lesson into other curricular areas. Okay, one of the ways that we can extend this, and this is so much fun for the kids, it's so much fun for the kids, but it's also a connection to the elders in the family and those grandparents, and oh my gosh, even a great grandparent. They can do this not with just one person. It says grandparent, but it also says VIP interview. And you know what? They don't have to be living in the same town. We have so many different platforms now. They can do this via Zoom. They can do it via FaceTime. But how nice to be on the receiving end for a grandparent, to have their grandchild be that interested in them to do an interview that they can report out to the class. Okay, this is all about family, right? Family portraits, about family. And so reach out to those grandparents and help your students come up with a good format for how to interview somebody. It's a lot of fun for them, and for them to share this back with those students, oh my goodness, how special are these kids going to feel? So there are several that we'll have up there for you to choose from at MoxieBox. And so take a look at your class. One might be better for 3rd and 4th, one might be better for 5th. Your students' level is better than anybody. Another one I don't want to forget, I don't have a hard copy for you right here, but we'll certainly get one up on the website. I don't want to forget to have you build a family tree. Have this be a family project and get that family tree done. It's time for these kids to expand themselves and learn about the family and a timeline and the dates. Think about all that these children can gain just by this one art project. To think that the art project could be expanding into so many different areas that's going to touch their lives and get them to know their family more is extraordinary. I always try to bring in math. We're talking about families, so I was like, you know what? We've got to do shapes in the upper grades, so let's go ahead and find a unit on a polygon family. This is a great little unit on shapes. This again will be up on MoxieBox. Again, I'm a first grade teacher. You guys are not, so thank goodness. When you keep rolling, you also have an answer key because that's something I would need. But this is a fun math activity too, and it can be a partner, it could be a group work, and it could be partner work. So I hope this was helpful today. I hope your kids enjoy this lesson. I hope you got some great tips and tricks out of this. And finally, MoxieBox and all the people that work for MoxieBox wish you and your family a great winter break, a great, safe holiday season.